you just tell us a little bit about your previous role as a Scrum Master and what sparked your interest into this data engineer role?
I actually became a Scrum Master because of my natural affinity for efficiency and problem solving. So I really liked tackling day-to-day development challenges, building relationship with the team members.
So I want to know what particularly, made you or get you motivated to go into this data engineer role.
Yeah, because I could connect with existing professionals because of my role as a Scrum Master with the data platform team. I got a lot of guidance from them that what actually is relevant in the market. So
Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to the sixth episode of Tech Exploration Hub. Today I have here with me Swati Singh, who has made a career transition from a Scrum Master role to a data engineer role. And I'm really, really excited to have Swati here because she is not just my friend, she is my roommate, she's my classmate, and she's my mentor. So I'm really looking forward to learning getting some great insights from Swati. With that said, I will let Swati give a brief introduction about herself before we move on to the questions.
yeah, hi Kushbu. Thank you for having me here. So yeah, a little bit about me. I'm Swati Singh. I right now located in the Netherlands. I work as a senior data consultant in the Netherlands here with global organizations. Yeah, I've started my journey as a consultant in IT services in India. Moved to Netherlands, then US, where I met you, Kushbu, and then moved back to Netherlands again. And I've switched a lot between different careers. Started with quality assurance, Scrum Master, and then finally settled with data engineering for the last 7 years. Yeah, so yeah, that's a bit about me.
Thank you, Swati. And I'm so glad you could make it. And I could you just tell us a little bit about your previous role as a Scrum Master and what sparked your interest into this data engineer role?
Yeah, so I actually became a Scrum Master because of my natural affinity for efficiency and problem solving. So I really liked tackling day-to-day development challenges, building relationship with the team members, solving their problems, reducing risk, improving process. So I really like doing that as a Scrum Master. Uh, and then I think after a couple of years, I became a Scrum Master for a greenfield data platform team. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't predict the risks and I could not meet the deadlines. You know, those data teams, they operated in a completely different way than application development teams. And the uncertainty was much higher, the dependencies were too complex. And I was failing as a Scrum Master. So I made a very radical decision at that time. Let me study information systems and figure it out, what's going on. Uh, and yeah, so I went back to school. And then when I graduated, serendipity hit. My ex-colleague from the same platform team, he reached out to me, hey, you're back to the market. I moved to consulting. Why don't you join me as a data engineer? And it was a perfect opportunity for me because now I had this new acquired knowledge. By the same time, I also was familiar with consulting and stakeholder management. So yeah, curiosity got me there. But now, I stayed in the field because of the people. I've met amazing engineers in this field. So yeah, you can say that's how I moved here.
Those are some great insights, Swati. And I just want to say, I do remember when we were both doing our masters, data was like the buzz, right? Everybody wanted to get into a data analyst role or a data scientist or a data engineer role. And I personally do remember that did some Tableau, certifications as well. So I want to know what particularly, made you or get you motivated to go into this data engineer role direction.
Yeah, it's funny, right? I know when we were studying together, everybody was dreaming of becoming a data analyst, a data engineer, a data scientist, in fact. And I was there. I was trying to become a better Scrum Master for data engineering teams. So yeah, I think my start was really funny, but I think what I really liked was getting my hands dirty. All right. So, yeah, because I had could connect with existing professionals because of my role as a Scrum Master with the data platform team. I got a lot of guidance from them that what actually is relevant in the market. So, the data engineering field is evolving so rapidly. The educational courses, they're not able to keep up with that pace. And that's what I experienced when I was studying as well. I actually took a lot of guidance from my colleagues, my ex-colleagues. Okay, what should I be focusing on to get started with? And some of the suggestions they had was like build your own pipeline, build your own end-to-end pipeline. Start with a problem statement, find a solution, and data is all about that, right? You're trying to solve a problem. How will you solve a problem? How will you answer this question? Basically, so that's how I started. Okay, I have to answer this question as a student. I don't have enough credits to buy expensive technologies, but there's so many open source technologies available. Now it's even richer when it comes to open source technology. So it's very mature. Uh, so I think that's what I did. Like when everybody was studying different courses that they were attending classroom sessions, I was doing self-credit courses. I think you remember that too.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course I
So
do. Yes.
yeah. So I actually looked towards the industry experts at that time, and I think even with this new evolution of Gen AI, I still look uh, to the industry experts how
Hmm.
they have evolved that field and how uh, how they're sharing the knowledge. And basically, I try to learn from that. I think they are the best sources, and that's how I stepped into the field as well. I took that guidance from the industry experts.
Okay. So could you also tell us what were your biggest challenges in making this transition?
Oh, there were two actually. First was, of course, the imposter syndrome. Yeah, I think everybody who transitions to a new path, you always have this fear that you don't know enough. There's always someone better than you, and I think the data ecosystem itself is very challenging because it's evolving so fast. And whatever you do today, and you're like feeling good about it, you're like tomorrow somebody else will solve that problem a different way, and will always feel lacking that you can always do better. So I think when I started as well, even though I had the insights ready for the client, but I still like this is not the perfect solution. And data ecosystem humbles you in that way that you can never have a perfect solution. So that was my first biggest challenge. And then the second biggest challenge was, data ecosystems have this concept of delayed gratification. You don't see the value you're delivering instantly. Like in application development, you develop a feature, you see it released, and you see it's being used because you have this A/B testing thing going on. There are product owners who are checking the adoption of things. But when it comes to like data products, you don't see them in production for a long period of time. You're still cleaning data, you're still optimizing some things. And then there are like probably some users who are not literate enough to use your products yet. So I had to come up with my own success metrics because I know my customers will probably not see my product for some time. I will not get that validation. So I had to figure it out. Okay, how I am going to keep myself motivated. So I came up with my own success metrics. Okay, I'm not getting a bug reported for 2 months. That's a good sign. I delivered something to production in X amount of time. That's a good sign. I learned something very cool and I was able to share it and mentor others. That's was my success metric. So I had to really figure out different success criteria for my own professional growth to keep me motivated to grow into this career path.
Wow, these are some really great advices. I particularly like the one where you mentioned about, having defining success metrics when your project is lengthy. I think that is something to, think about and apply in our day-to-day lives. Um, and I also want to ask Swati, when you decided you want to get into this data engineer role, right? Like, what was the first thing that you did? Like, was it a particular language that you adopted, like started learning, or like, what was that starting point is what I want to know.
Yeah, I think I started with Python, and also moved towards some other languages like yeah, working with YAMLs and Git programming and things like that. So uh, I think I started with cloud, mostly cloud engineering. So whatever languages are supported in the cloud, so Git programming, Python development, Spark development, SQL. So these were like some of the languages I started with, but at the same time, I also had to adapt my learning curve according to the tools I was exposing myself to. So one of the ways that I started was like just to like go through some of the new job listings, what tools are popular in most of the companies. I think during that time, Databricks was very popular when I started. So I'm like, okay, what does Databricks support? So I looked at the language Databricks supported, uh, looked at their case studies and their training paths. And that's how I started. Like, just give it some. I got some structure from those learning paths, but now I'm exposed to a lot more tools and languages. It all depends on the problem you're trying to solve at any point in time.
Well, that's great. And since you have started from scratch, right? Not into a data related role, and you got into a data specific role. So I want to ask you, um, what were the resources that helped you? Like, was there any video, any boot camp, trainings, or any mentor that you looked up to get, make that career move?
Yeah, I developed this methodology for myself that worked for me very well. I think it always starts with the problem first approach. What is the problem you're trying to solve? So first, like, articulate it, because this is also something that you require in data engineering. The requirements that you work with, they're often not well articulated. So try to figure out a problem that affects you. For example, like if you want to like build a personal portfolio, try to come up with a problem that affects you, and articulate it and define it what exactly it is. Then identify where you're going to find the sources and things like that. Now, when it comes to like learning resources, I think in the recent years we have a lot of learning resources. It's amazing how the data community is contributing to the entire ecosystem and helping everyone learn. But what I did was, okay, whenever I encountered a problem, I'll research it from multiple angles. Okay, first I'll see how somebody else solved it, how the industry experts solved it, because there's so many uh, repositories on Git. Somebody has tried to, like, for example, try to create a financial analysis tool, for example. Somebody has tried to solve that already multiple ways. So I take inspiration from their approaches. And then I also see, okay, what different tools can I use to solve this use case? And then I also look at open source technology. So, like, I have the problem statement. Okay, this is what I want to achieve, and then the how part when it comes to that, right? So, you look at the different tools. I also investigate a little bit into the open source community, on what kind of tools or methodologies they are supporting to actually architect the whole approach. So, yeah, I look at case studies. I look at different tools that are available in the market to solve that problem. When it comes to the how, I look at the ways how different uh, uh,
Mm.
uh, architects or industry leaders or the open source community has architected a solution around that problem.
Are you saying like if someone wants to get into this role, they have to get their hands dirty, specifically do a lot of hands-on? Is that what you're trying to say? Uh,
Uh, you do get hands-on, but I think the preparation matters.
okay.
And you can go two ways. So I think when I started, I had this fail first approach. I was a really shitty engineer when I started. And yeah, I made like really expensive mistakes when I started. But I failed really fast also in the first months itself. Like I made a very expensive mistake, and my manager was actually very kind to me, and he's like, "Yeah, don't tell anyone about it." So I was like, "Okay, as long as nobody knows, there's no impact of it." But then I became extra careful after that. So I don't want to make that mistake again. And one thing that I've learned from the data community is everybody loves to share the failures. This is how I failed, and this is what I learned from that. So whenever I'm looking at like building a portfolio project also, I'll actually go online and see, okay, if somebody tried to build a portfolio of project, and how did they fail in building that? So there are actually resources where people are saying, I wish I knew this earlier. This is how I failed. These are the best things I would have done if I would have started a project. So there's already a lot of guidance out there, but it always starts with problem first approach. Define the problem, because you also have to sell your idea. Like if you're going out interviewing with people and you don't have industry experience already, but you should be able to explain how you solved a problem with data and how you designed the solution. And then you research different ways, what works, what is, yeah, good enough. And then you also learn the different trade-offs.
Okay.
But if you have a narrow approach, or somebody did it like this, I'll also do it like this, but I'll just change something about it. Uh, uh, it's not like you're not learning the trade-offs. And in data engineering, we make a lot of trade-offs. So I would recommend new engineers to actually take a horizontal approach first, and then go vertical. Once you have your first project, then you start going vertically and start to get more in-depth knowledge.
Okay. So could you tell me, Swati, what in your opinion is the difference between a data analyst role and a data engineer role?
I think the whole data ecosystem is evolving in terms of role maturity as well. Data analyst basically works more closely with the business side.
Okay.
They get a use case from them. Hey, this is a question I need to be answered. Data analyst will work with existing data assets to actually answer that question. Sometimes they'll also end up doing some data transformation, some data cleansing, some data validation, and stuff like that. Depends on the quality of the data assets you have, and the amount of work that goes into answering that question, or building a data product for that. And it also depends on, as a data analyst, you may end up doing some advanced uh, queries depending on the size of the data you're dealing with, or the number of tables you're dealing with. So it also depends uh, uh, on the data assets that you're working with, how complex it's going to be to solve a problem, things like that. So data analysts, mostly they focus on answering business questions
Okay.
with the data that is already available. Now, data engineers, they act as a bridge between business information systems uh, to the analytics users. Uh, and in this case, your data analysts. So they bring that data from the business information systems to data analysts, and they build these data assets.
Okay.
Yeah, so it can involve a lot of things like data engineering. It's yeah, in some companies you do end to end. So you set up the infrastructure, you set up the orchestration, bring the data,
In-
prepare it. It depends on the maturity of the organization, what you'll end up doing as a data engineer. So I feel data engineering is very difficult it's very subjective,
Hmm.
whereas data analysis is much more easier to comprehend, okay, what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Could you also tell me what in particular in your experience as a Master helped you in your data engineer role? Can you?
Okay, so yeah, I think Yeah, there's this general misconception about data engineering that's all about just building pipelines, orchestration, and getting data out there. But And I think my experience as a Scrum Master actually helped me become a better data engineer. So, um, like while I was a Scrum Master, my focus was like, there are always like hundreds of priorities, and I have to get the team to focus on things, keep them motivated, help them see value, help set goals for them, right, and minimize risk. So I was facilitating and also, you know, improving the process and the communication part. So I was working on the business side. I was also working with the engineers as well. So when I moved to data engineering, one thing I experienced was that our data engineer is expected to wear different hats. So they're also expected to explain to the product owner how we're going to solve a problem. They're also expected to tell the product owner how long it will take to deliver something, what will work, what will not work. Also talk to the business end users to see how the product is doing, and also like do a lot of other things like talk with other tech engineers, do process improvements and things like. So my role as a facilitator in the past actually helped me in my role as a data engineer. So I was not just like sitting and building pipelines. A majority of my time was also going into communication, into minimizing risk when it comes to like delivering data solutions. And also, yeah, I think as Scrum Master, I try to keep my team motivated, but I ended up keeping myself motivated in all this chaos. And yeah, I think when you're a data engineer, you're always addressing so many problems of so many users. Uh, I think when I was Scrum Master, I learned to say no and I learned to prioritize. And that's what helped me as a data engineer. I was like, okay, if it's not in a ticket, I'm not going to address it right now. Please get it prioritized, things like that. So I
Wow.
think, yeah, my role helped me quite a lot.
Kudos to you, Swati, how you've made this transition. I know it was not an easy one. And I really like this notion about transferable skills, how you acquired these skills as a Scrum Master and now how you're applying it in your current role, which is amazing. With that said, could you let me know what is a typical day for you as a data engineer?
Yeah, it's actually interesting because yeah, I think my day starts at looking at the health of the dashboard, or health of the pipeline, sorry, in a dashboard, if everything is working fine or not. So I literally like start my day if it's going to be green or red. So
Does
it's
it give you
always like, yeah.
surprises as well? Does it give you
Yeah,
surprises?
yeah. And if it's a surprise, then I know, okay, my day is not going to go well. And if it's green, then I'm like, oh, I can do much more today. So that's how the day starts. You don't want to see any red pipelines when you start your day. So yeah, it starts with monitoring, and I think rest of the day it depends on the priorities. So if something is in the inception stage, I work with business to articulate the problem a little bit more so that I can understand the requirements a little bit better, and how I'm going to translate it with data. If I have the data to answer those questions, or do I need to get the data to answer those questions? So yeah, a lot of time actually goes in research. Um, and then once you've identified the data sources, then it's another beast. Yeah, because then you need to apply a lot of advanced concepts. So looking at the size of the data, the complexity of the data, the completeness of the data, like you have to like first assess the quality of the data you're going to ingest, and based on that you have to come up with different decisions. Okay, how you're going to ingest it, how you're going to make it available for business, and things are like that. So there's a lot of decision making that goes into building a data product or a data asset. uh, yeah, and a lot of my days, I'm happy reviewing uh, the merge request of other engineers, because yeah, I think we generally like data teams are very small in an organization, so
Okay.
we help each other out. Yeah, so we review each other's work. And also, like, we also talk about, okay, what's affecting our efficiency. So there's always like
Hmm.
uh, teams working towards improving the developer experience as well. So yeah, I collaborate with them from time to time as well. But then I've worked in multiple data organizations, and my experience has been like very different in each organization. It depends on how mature your data teams are. So your entire day to day can look different
Okay.
based on the team setup.
That's wonderful, Swati. Could you also tell me what advice do you have for someone who's trying to make that switch from like a non-tech background or a tech background who wants to get into this data engineer role? What advice would you give that person?
Yeah, so I think like I stumbled into data engineering by chance. But then when I interview new engineers or people who are trying to get into data engineering as well, there are like certain qualities that I try to check in them, and it's something that I like. It would be nice, like if somebody is thinking about data engineering as a career. The reality of data engineering ecosystem is very different. Uh, so it's also important, like for us, like if you are planning a career in data engineering, there's like certain things that you need to first check about your own personality. Do you like chaos? Does it stress you out or does it inspire you? Are you a creative thinker? Because most of the time, we do not get complete requirements when we're working on something, and we have to be creative on how to solve that question, right? And you have to find ways of how to deliver it. So you need to have creative thinking. Are you a problem solver? So you have to be really passionate about solving problems when you want to come to data engineering. And I think the fourth thing is analytical thinking. And now, if people think that, oh, if you work with data, if you can analyze data, you have analytical thinking. But analytical thinking goes way beyond that, right? It's about analyzing not just data, but analyzing your environment and analyzing the organization, the problem, and and how you articulate your thoughts and talk to different stakeholders. So these are like some of the core values which I feel a data engineer should have. And then you can all, and then you, I think last but not the least is, are you a continuous learner? Because data ecosystems are evolving very fast. Like you learned something today, you still need to keep on learning every day. And if you're thinking that, oh, I want to get into data engineering because it gives good money and it's challenging, uh, data engineering is not will not give you stability in the terms, oh, you've learned enough. You have to keep on learning every day. So anybody who's coming into this field, if they check these five boxes and they can confidently, like in the interviews, and they can, yeah, just demonstrate that they have these skills,
Yeah.
and then also have a portfolio project with them, uh, it gives them a better chance to get into this career.
That's a very, very good tip and advice, I would say. And it's not just about, particularly about data engineer, Swati. It's about generally in tech. It's so fast. It's changing at such a fast pace that you have to evolve with it. Like you have to keep learning, and then keep growing yourself. So, I do have a last question for you. Like it's, not really technical as such, but it's something related to personal experiences. I know that you had a newborn, like when you were into this data engineer role. I want to know, how was that experience, or what one advice would you give someone like a mom who's trying to transition into this particular data engineer role?
Yeah, I think, yeah, my toddler came like a tsunami. Yeah, I was so underprepared, I think, for everything, emotionally, I think I would say. I think one of the advice that I would give any new mom who's
Mhm.
into tech is start learning the tools for emotional regulation.
Okay.
Because uh, I mean, I think we work with a very overwhelmed system
Mm.
when we are raising a toddler. and also working. And
Mm.
data engineering ecosystems are chaos. So it's already like very stressful and overwhelming most of the times or sometimes. But then when you have a toddler at home as well, who's not giving you enough time to rest and regulate yourself, it's very important that you equip yourself with the tools to regulate your emotions. So, what really helped me as a new mom who was like really navigating, because my first year was really tough. It was I was underprepared, but then I started investing a lot into tools, like learning different tools. Okay, if I'm stressed, how do I need to handle stress? If I'm angry, how do I need to handle anger? Because I think most new moms can relate that they have a lot of guilt, that uh, they project a lot of their work stress to their toddlers, for example, and they don't want to do that. And they will also want to spend time with their toddlers, and they want to have a healthy home environment as well. So for me, it was very important that okay, I don't take my work stress to home, and I don't bring my parental stress to work. And I had to learn those tools basically to manage whatever was going on internally. So handling stress, handling yeah, imposter syndrome, handling anger. I had to do it myself quite a lot. So I think emotional regulation is something yeah, that I would
Yeah.
advise any new mom to figure it out.
No,
Yeah.
actually, yeah, I totally agree with you there. And I do know, I've read your post, LinkedIn post, which are like wonderful, talking about mental stress, how to manage mental stress, and then also about emotional traumas. And I also have like a toddler and an 8-month old, and I can, totally put myself in your shoes, and I can feel it because it happens to me like when I've had an exhausting day. And my toddler is, not just with my toddler, but if it's chaotic at home, my brain literally freezes. Like I don't know how I'm supposed to react, and I don't want to, uh, show any anger, or give a wrong reaction to a moment, right? So what I do is I take a moment. I have also like started learning how to control my anger or my emotions for that matter. So with that said,
Yeah, yeah. I think taking care of ourselves is also very important because now we have like double responsibilities. And yeah, and I think yeah, some workplaces also support new moms very well. Like if you have your colleagues who listen
yes.
to you, if you're working with other parents, I think you have a very good support system as well. But then there needs to be awareness as well. So I have been like very open with my colleagues as well. Sometimes if I'm having a tough time at home, I also like try to get an understanding with them if, to take it slow for myself. But just speaking out and not trying to do it all alone helps.
Yeah, yes, totally. And I just want to say, Swati, I'm so, so glad that you were here, sharing your experiences. I'm so grateful and thankful to you. I can't tell you. This has been amazing, and I'm sure this is going to be very, very valuable and helpful to someone who's trying to make that transition into this specific role. So thank you for taking out time